Tonight we will hear from Brian Lenane from the Nantucket Resource Partnership. He will talk about food insecurity on Nantucket and then invite a few individuals from NRP partner organizations to join him for the Q&A portion of the evening. Brian moved to Nantucket in March of 2019, and prior to joining the Nantucket Community School as the Adult Education Coordinator, Brian held a variety of leadership positions in management and IT consulting organizations serving the U.S. federal government and public utilities market. He is a founder and treasurer for the Nantucket Resource Partnership and has prepared a comprehensive presentation on food insecurity on Nantucket for us today. Please welcome Brian Lenane.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. First, I'd like to thank the Nantucket Historical Association for hosting this event as part of their Food for Thought series. We are grateful that the Nantucket Community Television is filming this session. A link to this recording of this event will be available online. Our goals tonight are to raise awareness about food insecurity here on Nantucket. And we hope to inspire you to get involved, to share what you learned tonight with your neighbors, your organizations, your coworkers, and help us to put together partnerships and solutions to help deal with food insecurity on the island. Sorry. What is food insecurity? Here's the definition from USDA. It's not what everybody thinks. It's like I have no money, so I can't buy food. But it's the limited or uncertain availability of acceptable food in socially acceptable ways. On Nantucket, the housing costs are so high that even families with income may not be able to afford to buy food. A recent article in USA Today reported that Nantucket was the 5th highest median house price in the United States. The top 4 counties are all located in Southern California. Housing costs are so high that people can spend 50 to 70% of their income on housing, making it difficult to afford food. And people become food insecure in a variety of ways. There are people my age who get sick and sometimes need meals on wheels for a short amount of time, but they still are food insecure. Seasonal workers arrive without adequate funds to carry them to their first paycheck. You could have a major bill like a car repair, which throws your budget off, and you could be food insecure that way. The message is the food insecure are our neighbors, our coworkers, our family members, and community members. What NRP tries to do, as you can tell from our logo, is to connect the dots. We try to connect people in need to the services that they desire. So what is this Nantucket Resource Partnership? It's a 501c3 organization focused on creating a food-secure Nantucket. We foster collaboration among island organizations to create an efficient and sustainable food system. And the dots aren't just among that we connect, also include nonprofit organizations, businesses, funding sources, government, and consulting expertise. So our vision is pretty simple. Create a food-secure Nantucket. And our mission is to foster this collaboration. And we have several partners in this room, and you're going to hear from them, because it's not all about NRP. It's the partnership and the community that works together to solve these problems. So NRP is funded by island foundations, some are here tonight, state grants and private donations. And with that money, we are able to develop several digital solutions that we're going to talk about tonight. including Food First, Nourishing Nantucket, and Fresh Connect. In addition to all of that, we also do some research as well. The first thing I'd like to talk about is the Food First platform. This is a platform that connects people with services. NRP built this platform with Process First, our consultants, referral partners, places like the school, places like the Family Resource Center, identify people with food insecurity by doing a very brief few questions. Then they used our platform to refer them to a food service provider. And then the food service provider reviews the referral and then enrolls the people in the program. Before, we sent people, say, oh, go over to Family Resource Center. And a person who doesn't have language capabilities or know where that is would say, I don't know what to do with that. With this, we actually have a warm reach out back to the client in the language that they speak to make sure that we get them connected. The other thing that this is important for is that grants have a lot of reporting requirements. And using Food First, we are able to support the reporting requirements of the Community Development Block Grant. And for this grant, for example, 51% of the people who were provided assistance had to have low or moderate income. And so we're able to track that, report it to the state, and get reimbursed for our work. I'd like to take a moment here and let you talk to one of our partners. David Hayes is here. He's the program manager from Nantucket Family Resource Center. And I'm going to ask him to come up and talk about his experience using the Food First platform. David? You got it. Just talk right there.
Thanks, Brian. My name is David Hayes. I'm the manager at the Family Resource Center. I'm also the clinician there. We're an organization on island that kind of has the same sort of vision the NRP has, connecting people to resources, resources in the title of our organization. So we're really excited to be working with this, specifically the Food First platform. A lot of what we do is we work with families and try to figure out, how best to serve them. So that involves working with a lot of different people in the community with multifaceted problems. And luckily, we have a screening process that asks some of those questions, like, are you food insecure? And I've had some moments in the screening process with clients who you may not think are food insecure that are like, actually, yeah, I do. And I've been able to use the Food First platform. And the beautiful thing about it is it's really easy to use, and it kind of helps the client track and see what's going on and gives them that sense that something's actually being done and we're actually meeting them where they're at. We had a client in specifically who transportation was a problem, so we were able to connect them specifically with Meals on Wheels, like something that could bring the food to them rather than, I think Brian was saying, we don't just say, go to the food pantry, because they don't have the transportation. So because of the Food First platform, we were kind of able to identify that, and we really appreciate that.
Right. Thank you. So this platform here's a list of our referral partners that are using Food First. It's an impressive list of 25 organizations, and people from these organizations are in our audience tonight. So it's almost any place you kind of go, you can get access to this, and so it's quite a list. And here are on the other end of the platform are the organizations that are operating food programs. And again, there's quite a list. And some organizations are both referral and food service partners. For example, if someone arrives at Health Imperatives and is food insecure, they might also need a referral to Fairwinds, because families can suffer from multiple crises all at the same time. I remember I talked about having data. And one of the benefits of having a system is that we can monitor the referrals and look at usage. So for example, in the last 30 days, 247 customers received 731 referrals because people can be referred to more than one program. And as you can see to the chart on the right, the bar chart there, the large majority of the referrals are completed. We think that this is a success because we're able to track, monitor, and see that people are getting the services that they requested. Now, not everybody gets services. Some people are sent to a waiting list or added to a waiting list. Some people have been referred and even connected to a food service provider, but choose not to participate or have left the island. There's lots and lots of scenarios. So this is another program that NRP worked with its partners on developing. And it's called Nourishing Nantucket. And I'm going to call on Chris Sleeper from Pip and Anchor to talk about this program. Chris? Green.
Hi, everyone. So we built Nourishing Nantucket over the last couple years with NRP, but it started a little while ago when my business partner, Rita Higgins, was creating 100 Mile Makers, and it was an online grocery during the pandemic, and you could just buy a box for a friend, or it actually turned into buying a box for someone that people would just say, I just want this to go to someone who needs it. I don't need extra food right now, but I know people do, so please figure out a way to get this box to someone who needs it. And Sunny Daly, who is with Health Imperatives, had people in need. And it was sort of one of those first connections, one of those first connecting the dot moments where we were like, okay, well, Sunny's amazing at what she does. We have food, we love food, we have food to distribute, and then we have these amazing customers who want to help us do that and have the extra finances to do so. So we thought something was there, and then it sparked interest of people like Brian and Brooke and Matt and Remain and many others who are all kind of working to connect the dots together. But as this was all happening, we were like, oh, maybe we should do something with this and connect more people to local food. And that's really what our mission is. Our Pip and Anchor's mission as a business is to reconnect people to local food and goods. And a big reason why Mayumi and I left the restaurant business out here is because we felt we were serving just a particular clientele, ones that could afford to go out to dinner at a place like Nautilus or Straight Wharf or Club Car, and we wanted to give more access to food, and it's not just in the grocery store setting that we created over at 14 Amelia Drive, but it's online for those who prefer shopping online and not in store, or it's through this program, Nourishing Nantucket, and giving people who are food insecure access to food. So we've been working with NRP and other island nonprofits, the farmers, to grow food for us, and we distribute food, which is what we like to do and what we think we're pretty good at. So now we're able to provide 80 boxes of food a week to over 300 people with private funding and winning grants, writing grants with NRP. As I said, some of the farmers are even now growing food for the program. But because it's nonprofit money and because it's grant money, the farmers get to be made whole as well. They're not donating that food. The farmers make money. So it's an amazing, full circle program where we're delivering food for those who need it. Like Dave said, someone didn't have access to be able to drive to the food pantry. Well, the people that come to us need access to more healthy, more nourishment and have at least 3 people in their household. So the Food First platform spits them out to us, and then we're able to hopefully get them into the program. We have a wait list of over 40 families, but we're slowly moving through that wait list. We actually had a family who they just got housing through their job, so they graduated from the program, and we were able to get someone off of the wait list because they have housing and can now afford food because their housing is taken care of through their job. So it's been amazing, and we hope to continue to grow it. Obviously, that takes money, but with Process First, with NRP, we've built the systems. They're all in place now. We have constant back and forth with the clients in Portuguese, Spanish, and English. I usually have two phones, one NRP phone in one and then phone in one pocket, and mine in the other. And they're going off on Thursday and Friday for delivery and pickup. And really, the goal is for those who are food insecure to be able to pick up their food the same way you would if you ordered online at Pip and Anchor. Or if we ever get our delivery going for the groceries to our customers as well, we would deliver to our customers right alongside delivering to the clients who need it most. So hoping to continue to grow this. Just need to, it's really money, and it's getting people on board and getting an understanding of what's really going on in Nantucket with food insecurity and spreading the word. So like Brian said, you're here tonight, and we would love for you to go back to your jobs, to your friends, to explain what the need is on Nantucket and help us spread the word, because I really think we can make a difference, because we see it every week. So,
Thank you, Chris. And Chris is far more modest than he lets on. This is a passion project for him. He commits a lot of resources of PIP to this to make this all happen. And what he didn't tell you about is the special things they do over the holidays, where they have a special holiday box. It really is quite an operation, and they're making a huge difference in our community. The next partner to speak is Ruth Pitts from Nantucket Food, Fuel, and Rental Assistance, also known as NIFRA. Ruth operates the food pantry. Ruth, would you please come up and tell us about the pantry?
Thanks for coming tonight. We really appreciate the opportunity to share our vision, and it was great to hear what Chris does. We all want to work together to improve the entire island of Nantucket. I think that's really first and foremost, that as Brian said, our circumstances changes every day. In a heartbeat, something can change. A death in a family, an accident, unexpected illness. So we're all there to respond to this. We encourage people to come. I just say, come. You know, it doesn't matter what your circumstances. We are fortunate because we don't have to ask a lot of questions. We're in a very unique situation. So we try to welcome everyone with open arms, and I've only worked at the food pantry almost a year now. Unbelievable. It's been quite an experience. But I have to thank the people I work with. Our volunteers make every single person who comes to visit us as welcome as possible. And what we strive to do every day is to make this as a normal part of every day for anyone who comes to see us. And I think that's, as Chris referred to, if you're dropping groceries off to Wendy Schmidt or Joe Smith, it doesn't really matter. They're treated the same, and that's the way we work every day, to make sure anyone who comes to see us feels that they are welcome and that there's nothing about this experience that should cause uncomfort. Or I think oftentimes someone will say, oh, do you think your clients feel humiliated? Absolutely not. This is something we have worked so hard to eliminate, is that it is a normal part of every day. It might be part of your day 1 week or 1 month or 1 year, hopefully not too long, but if it is, it's just part of your week. And that's, we really strive to make that everyone feel really super welcome. We operate 3 days a week, 3 to 6 o'clock, and our clients can visit us once a week. We work really hard to keep the quality of the food we're providing as high as possible. We are at the whim of the Boston Food Bank sometimes, and sometimes things don't come in quite as expected. But, also we are looking very forward to working with these groups here, because it will only improve the quality of the product that we're able to provide to our clients, and that's really what we want to do. Once again, thanks so much for joining us this evening. And it is food insecurity is with us every day, will be with us probably forever, but we can all work together to make it less of a thing. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ruth. If you take a look at the statistics up there, 26,000 pounds of food, right? Providing over 223,000 meals. The food pantry is the backbone of in the fight against food insecurity. They do amazing amounts of work. So we've created another program, and it's called Fresh Connect. And Fresh Connect is a prepaid debit card which can be used to purchase fruits and vegetables at both Stop and Shop locations. But it lets people, as Ruth was talking about, have the dignity of, I can go choose. Not that Chris's food box isn't wonderful, but my kids don't like carrots. So with this card, I can go and buy all the fresh produce I want and not buy carrots. And it's limited to the items. It's a very sophisticated system. We only can buy fruits and vegetables with it. Serves right now 64 families, 217 individuals, and provides a lot more data. As you know, we're big on data, finding out people's spending patterns. So I'm going to call on Matt Haffenrefer to come up and talk a little bit more about the Fresh Connect program. Matt? Screen.
Thanks, Brian. So I work with a team at About Fresh that is the organization that built Fresh Connect. We build their technology, and so when we were looking at ways to solve the problem here, we thought it was really important to make that introduction and have them bring that program to the island. So traditionally, Fresh Connect is implemented through healthcare. Healthcare puts money on a prepaid debit card that you get at your doctor, and they'd give it to you if you had a medical condition that would have either a lower cost or a lower health burden if you ate more healthy food. So healthcare puts money on this card, you can only buy fresh fruits and veggies, and everyone's happier. It's also been implemented in a social service setting here, like we're doing here. It's just another tool that's really an autonomous way to help people address food insecurity. So we're happy to have it here and looking at more ways to hopefully increase the impact of it. Thanks.
So one of the things that NRP does, as you're learning about, is we find solutions, we incubate them, and then we try to give them to the right organization in the community to run them long term. So NIFRA has taken over the Fresh Connect program, and that will ensure long-term sustainability and continued success. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Stop and Shop. We're all familiar with Stop and Shop. So this is the third time that NRP has partnered with Stop and Shop to utilize the Roundup program at both Nantucket locations. The Roundup program allows shoppers to round up their bills to an even number or to make a specific donation at checkout. Most of Stop and Shop's Roundup programs support statewide or regional programs. The thing that's different here is that all the proceeds from this May's Roundup will go to fund Nantucket's Fresh Connect program and NRP. It's all going to stay local. So please be sure to round up this May at Stop and Shop at the checkout to make a difference in food security on the island. And for more information about how businesses are helping to address food insecurity, I'm going to call on Peter Burke from the Nantucket Chamber of Commerce. Peter?
Thank you, thank you. This is the third blue shirt in a row you're getting, so we coordinated. I did want to thank Brian. He's being modest with this particular this particular Roundup program. Most of Stop and Shop's programs hit a regional center and they redistribute those resources regionally. This is one that is directly, all the money raised on Nantucket stays on Nantucket. So it goes to show the hard work that NRP is doing directly with an enormous corporation in Stop and Shop, who's obviously networked in here, the community really well. And Stop and Shop is a huge supporter of the community in a lot of ways, so that particular program is pretty awesome. From our end, we're excited about communication and networking. That's what we do best. We have access to a lot of employers, and I think there's 750 members thereabouts in our Rolodex. That's not everyone, but anyone who is food insecure is working at least one job, probably two, and so we have access to a lot of their employers. This goes to that messaging of there is no stigma. If you're food insecure, that's okay. The more awareness, the more conversations we can have about it here and around the campfires and at dinner and wherever you are, the better it is. Because the more people that know about it, the more people can lean on each other to find the right resources for support. NRP is doing the chamber a huge favor. We can give resource availability to our member businesses, and they've taken all the legwork out of it. Hey, employer, you don't have to ask if your employee is food insecure. When they get hired, here's a list of all the resources on Nantucket: mental health, buses, fun beaches to go to, food insecurity, housing help, Family Resource Center. There are a lot of these programs that have already been put together, and Nantucket Resource Partnership has helped us make it really easy for an employer to not have to be that traffic cop of trying to figure out if their employees need help. But the reality is, employees and coworkers, you spend more time with them than anyone else throughout the day. So they are the first line of defense and resources that coworkers go to, right? You're just networked in naturally with your coworkers. So it's a really important partnership, and I have learned quite a bit sitting and talking to Brian and the rest of the team at NRP. And so I'm excited to have the Chamber's megaphone to help educate more people about it, and also to invite businesses to participate. So Stop and Shop has this is how they can participate. We can put the call out for any other business that wants to help and say, hey, you can feed into any of these programs or start something new, and NRP will help bounce the ideas around and make sure that we're supporting a program that they'd be excited to support. So thanks for all the work.
Thank you, Peter. Is Linda here? No. Okay. I'm going to talk about the Nantucket Public School Food Services. People forget that the public schools feed 1,724 students and 350 staff members every day through the school year. And they serve breakfast and lunch. In Massachusetts, it's universal free meals for all students. Not all states have done this, but Massachusetts has chosen to do that. Before, students had to fill out a questionnaire and qualify for federally subsidized lunches. Now it's universal free. They also modify menus for all the food allergies. You can imagine among 1,700 students, some have food allergies and medical conditions, and they manage all of those special meals. And then the last thing is they've really put an emphasis on providing more healthy meals. And I think, hats off to those people. And Linda Peterson has been leading the food service department for 34 years. So just round figures, she's probably served 15 million meals. Okay, I mean, it's unbelievable. And it's very important because these kids rely on this food. And then in the summer, remember how we said things change? They may not have a free lunch. And so that they could become food insecure over the summer. The last thing we talked about was we do a lot of research and we like a lot of data. And so NRP won a $250,000 grant from the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources to develop a food insecurity scorecard and gap analysis for Nantucket. And NRP engaged Matt's company Process First to complete this project. The scorecard tells us where we are. We have a lot of silos of information across the island about food insecurity. We want to consolidate it so we can say this is where we are. And then the gap analysis is how far do we need to go? What's the gap? What do we need to close to do that? And so in order to talk further about this, I'm going to ask Matt to come back up and talk a little bit about this project. Matt?
Thanks, Brian. So this, this program started at kind of this really broad level out of the environment of energy and environment, EEOA.
Microphone.
Sorry, how about that? And their goal is to better improve the food system and address food insecurity. We like both of those issues, and the people we're working to serve are food insecure, and the organizations we want to work with are in the food system. And so this grant gave us the room to really fully understand the problem and fully define the path towards solving it. So we're speaking and researching with a lot of different organizations. I don't know, 11 so far have given us back data. I think there's a handful more. And we have a lot of interviews, surveys, and really is trying to characterize the problem, kind of really understand how it impacts different people, and how can the different programs that we have on the island, whether it's sustainable or the chamber, food pantry or PIP, how can we bring the different problems and solutions we have together to just best utilize the resources we have? Like a lot of people talk about local food. Local food's super important, but of course we're not going to feed the whole island with the farms here. We don't have enough. But I like to think that once food is on the island, even if it comes in a truck, it's here. It's like it's local food, maybe not in the way that we define local by distance, but it's food that should be used, it's food that should land on a plate, it's food that shouldn't go in the trash. And so we're looking at all the ways that we can really creatively help you all working in the field to the best ends of those who are food insecure, who are here to help.
Great.
Thanks, Brian.
The initial findings are not going to be surprising to you. We look for the top 5 limitations to maximizing program impact. And the number 1, overhead operations capacity, staffing and overhead costs. Hiring qualified staff, retaining qualified staff, housing qualified staff, all of that, and money to fund operations. And the second one was funding for food. Many grants you get won't fund food, even though they're a food insecurity grant. And so that was the second one. Then it's followed by the other 3 of transportation, storage, and state and federal guidelines. State and federal guidelines have a lot of restrictions for who can get WIC and SNAP funds because there are high eligibility criteria there. All right, so this is the thing. How can we say, okay, so it's a big problem. I agree. What can I do? Well, first you can spread the word by talking with your friends and referring them to the NRP website. You can subscribe to our newsletter to learn more. You can follow NRP, PIP and Anchor, and NIFRA on social media. Second, you can get involved. As Ruth mentioned, volunteers are the lifebloods of some of these organizations. You can join a board of NRP or another service organization. And third, you can donate. We put a QR code on this presentation to allow you to make donations more easily. You can also join us at some upcoming events to learn more about food insecurity. And these are the next 3 events. We have a food security meeting, which includes all of the partners that are in this room and not in this room tonight who help address food insecurity. There's an N Magazine article that's coming out in April. And then we're going to have an NRP Business After Hours with Lemon Press on May 9th. So now that we've kind of concluded our presentation, I want to invite the panelists to come up, and so we can have a question and answer session, please. All right. You've listened to me yammer on here long enough. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, yes. Please, we have to get you a microphone first.
Oh, sorry. So my name is Regina, and I am Brazilian. And last year, I was helping a little bit. I didn't know what it was, NPR, but I was able to deliver some box from PIP and Anchor, because Kelly always called me to translate and, help call people to do the interview and do all that stuff. But then I just kind of get distracted a little bit, and start doing something else. And I really like to get involved with this again, so I can help people with, the language.
Yes, we would love to have your help. And we will get your name and contact information right after this meeting, and we'll get you involved for sure. Yes, in the back, please.
Yeah, you don't know me, do you? I have a question for each of you. And
Could you identify yourself?
I'm sorry, Eleanor Antonietti, who happens to be a member of NRP, a very proud member of the board. Question for each of you, and you can take more than one sentence. If you could have anything other than a winning lottery ticket to achieve your goals, your mission, to each of you, what would that be in terms of food insecurity?
I'll just go for it. I'd take everyone who works on the problem, wipe their calendars for a whole week, and have their full attention in one room with all the meals provided. And I think we could knock most of it out.
I love that answer.
So I don't get a winning lottery ticket? So I can't say more food? More. No, I think it's all about awareness. I think that's why events like this are so important. It's just get eyeballs on the problem. I mean, there's a really famous story from when I worked at Fairwinds, and they were talking to a group of people about the drug problem on the island. And someone was like, there's a drug problem on the island? Like, there's people that are hurting? Like, they just, some people are just in this sort of bubble, and you just kind of want to shake them. So I think a lot of it is about awareness.
Green. Quite honestly, for the food pantry, it is all about money, only so we can buy more food. That's what we need, is more food. We take donations. We're hoping to have a garden this summer, but if you home garden, we'll take those. It's great, and people do step up with all those things, but my dollar goes really far, way further than anyone else's dollar can go. So for the food pantry, it is money, which is very unromantic.
I'm glad I get to go last because I got to think a little bit longer. I've sat on a couple advisory boards, and the three things, I think awareness, money, and coordination are the three things that come up the most. And for me, the end of the conversation always seems to end in awareness, so I'll echo Dave. I think we sit in beautiful buildings like this, and we have these conversations, and we promote this beautiful island, and it is an amazing place with an incredible community. And you ask most people to say, who live here year-round, what's your most favorite thing about Nantucket? And I think 9 out of 10 answers is the community. But we have this sort of facade on this island to the rest of the world that thinks that we don't have issues here, and we have major issues. We have one of the most diverse high schools in the state, maybe the most diverse. We are a minority white public school system. Not many people actually know the true Nantucket, and I would bet you that Ruth's wishes for money would be super easy if Dave's raising awareness and that story was told, and programs like NRP could help us get everyone at the right table to have these important discussions like this to get that money in and tell the true story about Nantucket.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good one sentence. That's great. Are there other questions? Oh, yes, right there, please.
Hi, my name's Amanda Cross, and I was looking at one of the slides.
I can't hear you on the microphone.
Okay. My name's Amanda Cross. I'm a trustee of the NHA. But I was interested in the slide, Ruth, that you had, and why there were virtually no seniors on there. Is that just the way you count them, or is that not an issue with seniors?
That's a good question. We ask people do identify by age when they register. At this point, that is very reflective of our clientele. We don't see a lot of seniors. I don't know if that's good because Meals on Wheels is dedicated more towards seniors. The Salt Marsh is dedicated towards seniors, the Landmark House, the Homestead. So there are some other options versus a food pantry for people. We certainly do have a handful of people we see on a weekly basis, and we also do a home delivery program, which primarily, typically we have 12 to 15 seniors we deliver to every week. But on the whole, I'd say it's probably about 30 to 35 seniors per month, and those are monthly counts.
I assume that in some way they are as a group they are taken care of in other organizations.
Yes, I think so. I had an instance recently where a woman was in need, and her advocate came to me, and it took a little working out, but then now she is on my home delivery list. I think that comes back down to resources to make sure an elder services that they know they can reach to me if there's someone in need that they know, particularly because with slightly older people, transportation can be an issue, and being homebound for medical reasons. So it's really important that that circle is closed. I guess unfortunately, I don't think anyone from Elder Services is here this evening. So that would be a really good contact. Again, I have a home delivery client who unfortunately had a fall a couple weeks ago. Elder Services reached out to me to tell me we had unfortunately delivered groceries and unknown that the accident had occurred. But now, this person's on hold until she's home again. But so again, it's all about resources, it's all about talking to each other and really open communication.
I also have a comment, or I don't know how it is. I don't think it's just the country's view that we are this wealthy community, but I think a lot of the people that visit here, that come in the summer, have no idea what the year-round population is. They don't know the statistics about the schools. They don't know how is there a way that we can reach them, because they may more likely have the funds to support you.
Yeah, I can comment on that. As I spend a lot of time in our shop, and I try to tell the true story about what's going on here as much as I can, but I think it's up to all of us to do that. I think the article in N Magazine we were super honest in our interviews. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's common speak for a lot of this country. It's a wealth gap that's major here. And it is surprising, and I've talked to really good friends and people I've met over the years here who I've gone to for help and for money, and to donors and to people for advice or people to help me write grants, where they're like, what? This exists here? And I was like, I say yes. I say, like, I've worked at restaurants where I'm watching people who I work with putting extra food in quart containers to take home to their family at the end of the night. I know that some of these people go to the food pantry, and now we deliver food to some of them. And it hurts to see that, but it's just a reality, and it's okay. And I think it's just up to people like us to keep spreading the word.
Are there other questions? Yes.
This is kind of a...
Could you identify yourself?
Yes, my name is Dylan. I'm a manager at Crew during the summer, and this question's kind of related to the previous question, but do you have any suggestions how to gain more awareness to the seasonal business community and that clientele? I feel like you kind of answered that, but just to elaborate more, other than just like asking for donations or any other strategy.
Well, yes. That's why we gave newsletters. We're gonna put this YouTube video out. It really requires saturation because I was a seasonal visitor. And when I came here, this is my happy place. This is my happy place. And I would come here to have a good time and have a happy time. And I did. But I never really slowed down and looked at the community. And I just think it was an awareness thing. It wasn't that I didn't care, it's just that I didn't notice. And perhaps I should have. I should have been more sensitive. So being a year-round resident here for the last 5 years, my eyes have been opened. But I think it's all channels. It's the current, it's INM, but it's you. Instagram, yes, of course. Yeah. Yes, please.
Dylan, I think there's to Brian's point about it was his happy place. There's sort of the illusion, and I think the illusion is part of why people want to be here, right? You get to be here and not worry about stuff, and there's people who come here to be away from all the challenges that come with life and their job and everything. And I feel like there's a really important part to breaking the news to someone, which is to say, bad news is this place isn't only the experience that you have here, but the good news is there's a lot of people doing something about it. But you have a responsibility in being here as someone with money to support those programs because they make the place work. They keep people from falling through the cracks. And if this place is beautiful and important to you, it's really important that you find those places and support it. And here's two of my favorites. Because you have access to those people in a place that they don't see the rest of the experience. So I think just taking those opportunities and walking people through the problem and to the solution is a quick way to help close that gap.
Thank you.
Anne had a question over here, please.
Thank you. Ann Doherty, I work at Remain Nantucket. I had two questions. One of the things that you mentioned, Ruth, was that if you had your wish, you would have more money going to the food pantry. I love your honesty. Do any of you think that perhaps that there's money to be had out there through grants and if only there was a dedicated grant writer that worked for the town or worked for a nonprofit that could help all of these great organizations just tap into all that? Then the second question was, I was surprised on one of your slides, Brian, that one of the things that limits what you do is just the staffing and operating costs. Lots of great organizations on this island that address food insecurity. Are there any opportunities for any more sort of consolidation and people continuing to coordinate and work together?
Yeah, we're going to try to answer the first question about the grant writer, okay? Go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a chart that we've been drawing to help illustrate that, and we haven't put exact numbers on it, but if you picture the number of people that we're helping or that are getting food program, or another way to look at it is how much money per year is being spent to support food security, that number should go up because there's a lot of need that's not met. But I think you could look at it as there's two lines. There's part of the graph that's going up that is putting more private funds into it. But as those programs go, I think we have a really big opportunity to capture more federal, state, and funding from groups like healthcare who are already spending money towards this goal. So we want the graph to get bigger, but I don't think the whole expectation has to be on just private donations. And I think there's a huge amount of money that's left on the table with grants, and writing grants to Nantucket's tricky. It's a really specific place. Writing grants is hard as it is. And we keep seeing that need for that shared grant writer across organizations because NRP doesn't need a full-time grant writer, but with a handful of partners in the room, I bet we could utilize someone really fully who could also better target those grants to where they could be best used. So I think that's a really good fit and could support that growing need and the backfilling of state and federal funding that is available to support it.
Anybody else want to? Yeah.
the grants are invaluable, obviously, for the nonprofit. But what I've seen in my short tenure at the food pantry is indeed that the grants are limited, and that private donations for us for food is really, really important, because that means I can literally take those dollars and buy food, no questions asked. I think sometimes with grants, there's so many extenuating circumstances, as I think Brian or Matt might have said, that there's not a lot of grants for food. Might be grants to build a garden that might give us food down the road, but for the food pantry, the need for food is immediate. And so, once again, my non-romantic aspect of my job is that I ask people for money. And, it's kind of surprising, I have to say, how many people give me money. And it's amazing. When you tell them there's need, they respond instantaneously. So I think I really have to say it's the route to go. It's kind of crazy because we can't have every single product at the pantry because we're so tiny. But so if you give me $100, I can buy, this week I bought with $100, 250 pounds of potatoes. Nobody else in this room can do that. So you've solved dinner for, 75 families. That's the impact we can make. So your dollars are huge for me. And $10 are huge for us. So it's really important. And it's hard, and I think sometimes it sounds like we're asking for more than we should ask, but I think considering the numbers that Brian put up and the fact that, again, in my experience, we are just simply reaching the tip of the iceberg of people who should come see us. Sadly, we can't really accommodate any more people. We never turn anyone away, that being said, but it's really important for people to understand the need on the island, as Chris was saying also, that it's, we don't see the undercurrent of the population at all.
And I think that you're never asking for enough, because the true cost of food, as you know, goes way beyond the food. It's the transport. You have volunteers. That's a blessing to have. And imagine if you could have another person to help you, and that's part of the cost. You are part of the cost of food. There are so many steps to getting food onto a plate, and if it's coming from a farmer and it's driven here and it's put on a boat, every step of the way there's expenses. And when we get food, there is someone who is sorting through 50 pounds of potatoes and turning it into 80 pounds of potatoes and turning it into 81-pound bags of potatoes. That person needs to get paid too. And volunteers are complicated with insurance and things like that. There are so many steps in this food system that beyond food that cost money. And we see it with the gas prices and all of that, distribution, packaging, et cetera.
So I guess the short answer is yes for the grant writer. And then what was your second question again, please?
One of the things that was mentioned on one of your slides that limits what these great people do is just operational costs and staffing.
Right.
Wondering if there are any opportunities out there to consolidate some of these organizations, the way Ruth has taken over Fresh Connect.
Fresh Connect, right. NRP believes that, yes, cooperation is absolutely essential, and elimination of duplication is clearly why we have a scorecard and why we have the gap analysis. We don't want to fund things that don't work, and we don't want to fund things in 4 or 5 places. So yes, there's some efficiencies that can always be had in any system. Yes.
Hi, my name is Mary Jane Perry, Mary Jane Mosier. Well, one of those. And one of my thoughts is, as we're talking about how to spread the word and educate people, that I think it would be a great idea if employers could educate their staff. We see all these wonderful people, all of the summer residents that come down and spend now the shoulder seasons as well, but having the staff have an understanding of where they live. A lot of these kids that come in to work just for a few months come here because their parents came here, or they've heard of Nantucket, or they saw pictures on Instagram, but helping them understand the community that they're actually working in and not just waiting tables or harvesting whatever. But I think that that could fall on the employers as well. We try to help our kids that we hire in the summer understand where they are with tickets to Mariah Mitchell and tickets to the NHA so that they can get an understanding of the island as a community. And I think that might be a great thing to add to employee training.
Thank you. That's a wonderful suggestion. There's another question here.
Hi, Jennifer Costanzo. This isn't necessarily a question, but just more of an observation and a possible suggestion. I noticed that most of your funding does come from donations. When you had that slide, I think it was 80 or maybe 70-something percent.
82% of the organizations get either money from private foundations or from donors.
Right. So then I started to think, you know, if we do the roundup in regards to Stop and Shop, I think it would be fabulous in the summer, like July or August, to do, you know, a roundup at restaurants that you give the customers an opportunity to, you know, round up. If they can afford to eat out, then, you know, round up and help feed, you know, those who aren't sitting at their table. Something like that, because I've seen other nonprofits do that within the stores, you know, whether they just, or the restaurant gives, you know, 5% or 10% of their earnings that particular night. I think that would also create, you know, a lot of the awareness and make people feel good. So that was just a suggestion.
Oh, it's a great suggestion. We've actually tried that during some of the weekends, but I think we've got to keep doing it more and more. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think I've been to a few restaurants now that are doing, not out here, but that are doing something like that. They attach a nonprofit to the end of the bill, the same way we see now with the kitchen fee, 2% or 4% or whatever it is. It's more common in other countries for sure, but it would be, we've talked about this in many meetings, it'd be really cool if there was in the summer, and you can opt out like a Nantucket, like a little bit of an extra tax if it was 0.5%. That would go so far, and then you come back to the comment before with MJ and educating the staff. Then you have a whole staff of people who know how to talk about that 0.5%, and at least it raises awareness to that point where, oh, there are issues here.
Are there other questions? Yes.
Hi, I'm Steve Bailu, and I've been fortunate to live here for 50 years, and I've seen the island grow. I've seen the changes that have happened, and I've seen, and don't take this the wrong way, I love seeing people come here from all different places. I've been fortunate that while I've been here, that I haven't had to search out the services that are offered here with the food pantry. So I'm fairly ignorant about it, sorry to say. But I think the thing that I'm hearing tonight is educating people about the problem that is here. I mean, I have a lot of friends here from other countries that are struggling with this food issue. You know, and I know some of them that are kind of too proud or embarrassed to search out help. So I'm just wondering, you know, is there a qualification? Is this to help with maybe all the people that the food pantry isn't able to help? Or, I mean, is it an addition? Do you have to qualify? And I think, you know, raising the awareness. There are so many wealthy people here that are very generous. And I think if they're made aware of what we're trying to do, then I think there'd be a lot of people that are forthcoming with and are willing to help. I think awareness is huge. You know, I can't wait to read this article in Magazine, because I think that is a great resource to get the information out there. So, and I want to thank you all for what you do to help. So thanks.
Thank you, Steve.
I guess that's me a little bit. If you know anyone who feels that they are food insecure, you send them to me immediately. We don't ask questions. We accept everybody. There's no income verification. We don't ask for any kind of ID. I don't look at anyone's passport. I don't ask for anything like that. So literally all are welcome. My language skills are pretty minimal, even with English. So, I would like the Portuguese young lady to come help me anytime. But we do our very, very best. And truly, as I said earlier, Joanne, sitting right here, is one of my outstanding volunteers. I have to say, we are an open arm organization. We love our clients. I believe our clients love us. We actually have a lot of fun. But if you know someone who is hesitant about joining us, I encourage, oftentimes someone will come with a client who is hesitant, kind of just to smooth things over, especially if they feel there's a language barrier or just a level of discomfort or lack of understanding of why we exist. I would totally encourage that of anyone in this room. Or come and see us. Come take a tour, see how come we need a new spot. It's really, we are part of our community. We want to be part of our community, and we want our community to be part of us. Thanks very much.
I hope I didn't want to make a reflection that I thought the food pantry wasn't doing a great job. I think you're doing a fantastic job. But I'm just trying to understand more about this new program. If there is qualifications that you have to meet to...
For Fresh Connect?
For what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah. So NRP is doing a lot of the connectivity work. They're coordinating the organizations, helping identify where resources could be shared more effectively or operations can be connected. But they're just supporting the food programs. They're not running any food programs. So their organization isn't one you would apply to. However, the tool that we have together, that we've built together called Food First, it's really designed to help people find the program that best fits them. It doesn't have any barriers or qualifications. It just helps point you to the right program that you need. And as we build up more, we'll actually try to get ahead of any limitations like financial qualifications. But it's designed to break down any barriers in knowledge or access.
And
Thank
Steve,
you.
Anybody who's in need of services can go to the Nantucket Family Resource Center. And they are multilingual. You don't have to be a family. You can be a single person, married person, whatever. Go there and they can provide help and help direct people to where they need to be. At free.
And I'll say, our program is limiting in the sense that you get raw fruits and vegetables from us. So we only get a referral from Food First through the Family Resource Center if someone has a kitchen. So that's a requirement for our program, that you have to have a kitchen. Many people out here don't have access to the kitchen, so the Food First platform would then push them towards Meals on Wheels if they needed a prepared meal, or if you needed food once a week, or just needed a temporary fix, or needed food once a week where you could go choose at the food pantry. It's meant to connect you with the right program, and in our instance, when we get a referral or we get someone that gets added to our wait list, we get, if they need delivery, if they can come pick up, but they most definitely have a kitchen where they can cook, and there is a minimum requirement of 3 people in that family because we build a box for a family of 3 or more.
Great. Thanks for helping me understand it.
You're welcome.
Hi, Jocelyn. So I'm going to take off my NHA hat for a second and put on my year-round resident of the local community hat on. This past hour was so eye-opening and enlightening for me. Someone who's moved to the island a year and a half ago, and your story, Brian, really resonated with me. Knew the island over the summer and was enamored initially by the pristine beaches, the historic architecture, and having a nice time over the summer. And in my past year and a half, I've seen a different Nantucket. Sort of the gilded layer has been peeled back. And I have to say that I am more deeply in love with the island because of that. It is an incredibly diverse community with people like yourselves who have big hearts and want to do important things for your neighbors. This conversation was so impactful, 1 hour. I'm wondering, do you have any other programs like this planned during the summer when we're getting some of those potential stakeholders on island? I know you mentioned the after hours
That's right.
event. Is that going to include this panel talking about how you work together?
Well, the after hours is a slightly different format.
Okay.
But yes, we will, if this works, if this is meaningful to people, if this is helpful, we're happy to do it again. And we'd love to come back if you'll have us back.
Oh, well, we can talk. Well, I also have an idea. Have you guys ever considered making a short film about this and perhaps talking to the Nantucket Project to see if they would show the film or allow some of you to talk about this effort?
You're very timely. Did you see the other film about getting by?
I
the story
sure
from
did.
Vermont?
Yes.
It's very powerful. So that's a great suggestion. All we need to do is get NCTV to help us film it, right?
Okay, Frank's on it.
Yeah.
But yes, I think the awareness component is critical.
Right.
Because there are people who just do not know this side of Nantucket, but they're so willing to give and be involved in this initiative. It's just about letting them know. So thank you all for being here. And now putting back on my NHA hat, let's thank the panel for joining us today. Will you take one question? Are you, okay.
Oh.
I was wondering, do you get any referrals from the hospital and from places like the Safe Place, Fairwinds? Do you ever get referrals from those places?
Yes. Because as I said, when food insecurity is probably just one of the crises. I've lost my housing. I've lost my job. My child is sick. So when they show up at any one of these places, then they can start to make those connections. But the Family Resource Center is kind of the really good place to start for anybody who's unsure.
But it's escaped my mind. Oh, yes, I know what it is.
Could you talk into the microphone?
I may have missed this, or it might have gotten by me, but NPR seems to be an overall organization, kind of, to which all of these other organizations subscribe. Is that correct?
What we are is we try just to connect organizations. We hold meetings. We conference people together. We develop solutions and then help them get implemented in the community. We also look for resources like grants and other funds to help solve the problem.
Now, when you were rounding off your Stop and Shop figure, that money is going to money that it's going to NRP,
Yep. Yep.
And then you are distributing that to.
That's right. We get some to continue to fund our work, which is developing these solutions. Most of the money goes to Fresh Connect, which is the prepaid debit card.
I see. Oh, I see. So it isn't being distributed, say, to the food pantry.
No, it's fresh. Well, the food pantry, the NIFRA runs Fresh Connect, and so it is going to be getting the lion's share of those funds from the roundup. That's right. Okay. Well, you don't have to worry about it. Go ahead and round up to your heart's content.
I'll say what's nice about, I think I mentioned it earlier, what's been missing for a long time on this island is coordination. And there are nearly 100 nonprofits out here, I think. So that means there's 100 executive directors, if they're lucky to have one. There are hopefully many more employees for those organizations. But what NRP is doing that I haven't seen is connecting nonprofits. Ruth has people who have needs and has access to citrus, for instance. We have clients who we don't have access to citrus because we get our food locally from either Nantucket farms or farms within 100 miles and sometimes a little farther, but there's no citrus in New England, so they can go to Ruth and you at the food pantry to get fruit, whereas we can only provide them with, right now, carrots, cabbage, and potatoes. We're trying to diversify. We're getting there. The farmers are starting to get going again out here. But that's something, there weren't conversations where people like Ruth and I and Matt were sitting on the same panel before, and NRP is helping connect us. And I think in the long run, it should be our goal as a community to not have 100 nonprofits. We should have less. If a nonprofit ceases to exist because they've solved a problem, or combine forces to solve problems and make long-term solutions, that's a win. And NRP is doing something that has not been done, and it's going to help keep conversations like this rolling to create long-term solutions for an island that's growing, as you said, very fast.
All right. Well, Brian, thank you so much for orchestrating this and reaching out to the NHA. This was such an eye-opening, inspiring 1 hour. Thank you, Chris, Ruth, Matt, Brian, for your big hearts and what you do for this community. And thank you all for joining us this evening.